My brother from another mother. Dude, I am so fired up to be here with you today. And, I've really been reflecting on something that stands out right now. It's a lyric, LL Cool J, "Don't Call It a Comeback." The band of pirates never split up, and we are back. And we are going to make every minute count.
Let's do this, buddy. Couldn't be happier to be with you. It's like we're getting the band back together. We're going to have a lot of fun this year, buddy. Welcome to 2025.
2025 and 1440. And dude, I'm excited to bring our story together, man, and share, our kind of individual paths, but really how we brought this all together over the last, 15 plus years. To kick things off from my part of the story is, the back to the beginning is how did I get launched into where we spent so much of our time, and that's Pulse, man. And that's 2001. It's the summertime. I'm literally 17 years old. I just got expelled from high school. I'm working as a lifeguard, finishing up high school on independent study, dude. And it's like I remember living with my older brother. Summer day we're chilling, and he's reading the Sacramento Bee about the nursing shortage. And he's like, "Fuck it, we're going to start a nurse staffing company." And I'm like, I have no idea what that means, but like, okay, like what else? I mean, here I am. And so, we went from that 0 to 300 plus travelers in 3 years. And ultimately the company was acquired, and that was like, I'm like, gee, like this was insane. Like what a wild ride. And ultimately that was the first major stepping stone to where ultimately how we got connected. And
Oh man, that's just awesome. I just always love hearing this story. Like, it's so young, get thrown into this experience where you're like learning how to build and run a business so early in the game, man. I love that, dude. While you were doing that, while you were hustling, building a business, I was in school, man. I was in college, and I went and I got a degree in psychology and sociology, man. I love the human experience. I was all about that. I wanted to help people, man. And I really thought I was going to go and get a master's degree, right? Like I'm going to get a professional degree so I can help people as a psychologist or, whatever. And I thought, well, before I get a bunch of more debt on the ledger, like let's get some real world experience. Let's hang out. And I went and I was working on a concrete crew, pouring concrete, working long days. I really enjoyed that, being physical. And I got a call from a family friend, and they were like, "Hey, man, just invested in this nurse staffing business. You want to come and be a recruiter?" And I was like, "I have no idea what nurse staffing is. Like, I didn't know this whole thing existed. No, just like you, man, no idea." But I was like, yeah, absolutely, let's get it. And I loved it. It was a fucking phenomenal experience, man. We started at Rise Medical Staffing. Rise Medical Staffing. It was a small company, man. I was like, essentially one of the first 5 employees of this organization, and it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect because I was hungry to learn something new. Honestly, they had no business hiring me because I didn't have any recruitment experience, and this company needed that kind of support. It was October of 2007, just before the Great Recession party started in January of 2008. And right off the get, it was like, oh, okay, well, welcome to the team. Very likely that we're all going to get shut down here very shortly. So we're going to take pay cuts and best of luck to you. But that was the perfect environment, man, for me to have to learn to survive and learn to appreciate the struggle from day one, man. It was wild.
I remember before, obviously, I got there to Rise, and I was going through this transition of like the Pulse party is over, right? And it's like, I got to get back to the real world. Like Kirsten, we found out we're pregnant. I'm like, okay. So the hunt was on. I had to reverse recruit myself, and ultimately landed with Rise. And I remember getting there, and like my first week I closed a deal, and like all the owners went nuts, and like, this is crazy. I'm like, well, it's not that big of a deal. Coming off of the Pulse experience, like, let's wait till like maybe 10. I get to 10, then we do some celebrating. And And then I remember you called me up and you're like, what are you doing? Like what,
Yeah.
like what's going on? And like, from that was our entry point into like our working relationship, right?
Yeah, man, it was wild. And we didn't really have any leadership at that time.
Yeah.
Really, like the leadership got cut first because it was like, hey guys, we're struggling. The market is so tight, like we're hardly going to make it. And I was so inspired by your hustle and all the grind that you put in from day one. I was like how are you doing this? And guess what? There's a method to the madness. So I got a benefit from your experience. And we were there for 10 years. 10 years, from a company that I thought was going to fail. And I was like, well, I can't let this thing fail because it was kind of a family business for me. A family friend invited me in. I was like, I'm going to give it all. So we went from 0 to 10 years later. We were acquired by private equity, and we were rolled into a company with 2 other organizations. And that was a wild ride, man, because while we were at Rise, we were 100% responsible for the culture. We were 100% responsible for our decisions and the policies and the processes and the training. And we made something beautiful. I just love that experience, man.
That's really when the path had been shaped for you and I to really enter into our leadership, right? And whereas we're now get to build these teams. We're responsible for hiring. We're responsible for firing. We're responsible for creating and leading the culture and running our not just our teams, but our offices, and really, and collaborating together. And one of my favorite things is that really ignited our hiring and our culture was the student athlete. And yes. So that was a huge part of that moment in time, and being able to coach a team full of student athletes.
Yeah, this discovery that what's so important in recruitment in this staffing game that we play is grit. It's the grit because it's a grind, right? And there's this incredibly beautiful parallel between the individual that puts that personal sacrifice in day after day to be an athlete and to push themselves to the collegiate level and to do all of this work, all hours of the day, and focus. And this is amazing balance of like, how do I mentally and physically prepare, and how do I stay organized with everything that I have to do throughout the day? Was like, that is certainly a target persona, man. Let's get him in. Let's get him on the team. And that was really a blast to find that and to build that.
One of the beautiful things about it is like, we didn't even come up with this idea. We just we started doing it like, holy shit, like this makes total sense. The discipline, the grit, the tenacity to excel, and really having to have your day organized from beginning to end, and how important that is into thriving into our ecosystem. So it was fun, man. We created something so special. The Rise culture, that era and time was a ridiculously good time, and then we were acquired.
Yeah, man, that was just such a crazy transition, really. That was a pretty amazing experience to be part of that, and I failed a lot through that, man. Learned a ton about leadership in the struggle of what it means to bring 3 companies into one company. I put in my time there, and then when I separated, I reached out to you. And I was like, okay, Juice, like, what are you up to, man? Like what have you been doing? And you were like, I'm going to start a business. Like, I'm just moving right on. I was like, that sounds amazing, man. What is it going to be? What are you going to do?
That transition into that next chapter really set the stage for our relationship. And one of the things that really, I would say, is the catalyst is us like connecting on reading. We were just started reading books and like sharing, like, have you read this? Like, have you read Simon Sinek? No. Who the fuck is Gary Vee? No. Yeah. Like, and it's like, that was what common thread that really brought it all together for you and I as we entered into like the Arrow experience.
Yeah. Biggest regret, that I have is that I didn't start reading in my 20s. Yeah. I wasted a lot of time with the struggle in the day to day. Of course, you learn the most through actually doing, right? But this self-education piece, man, it just happens so naturally for us. You're like, hey, man, have you heard of Gary Vee? I was like, no. You're like, oh man, I just read this book. Like, it's amazing. Every company should be a marketing company, man. It's like, you should give without expectation. Like some of these ideas that are just foundational for who I am and how I see leader should build a company
Yep.
today. That shared experience we had of challenging ourselves and then being like, yeah, no, let's apply this. We're starting
Yeah.
a business. Let's apply all of the things that we're reading about. And we didn't stop, man. The clip
Yeah.
was like 40, 45 books a year.
Very high velocity rate, but it was like, dude, I just like, man, it's like that thirst, man. Like it was just, it wasn't quenchable. It still isn't, you know? And it's like, there's just, I'm fascinated by, the more I know, how little I truly know or how little I understand.
Yeah, yeah. This humility is a huge part of it, right? And that's the cornerstone of who I am, right? I'm not going to
Yeah.
approach anything and say, "Oh, I know this for a fact." I don't. I know very little. I think about a lot, and as you put it, man, the more we consume, the more opportunity there is to see where I need to sharpen, where I need an
Yes.
edge, where I need to do more and learn more to better support my team as a leader and to build companies, really.
Yeah, no, and it's like no one person has all the answers, and that really is something that one of the many takeaways from Legacy, which was arguably my first curriculum in executive athlete leadership, or those principles, the book Legacy about the All Blacks, the New Zealand All Blacks, the most winningest professional sports team in the history of professional sports at the time, and that's one of the humility is one of their core principles. I don't want to have all the answers. I don't need to have all the answers. You build a team and you build a supporting cast, and there's a lot. I've hired so many people that are a lot smarter than I am, and that's like really so powerful when you want to create a company or a culture and be a leader that does something that has a massive positive impact.
It makes me think about Dan Pink.
Yeah.
That was like his book. It just like totally changed my perspective on motivation, right? Motivation 2.0, right? This whole era of carrots and sticks that really drove everything in business for just decades and decades. And that's not what motivates people. People want to pursue something that they can be passionate about. They want to get excited about the opportunity for mastery, getting incrementally better at something that matters. And they want to have autonomy over their time and their task, right? When they have autonomy, they have this real connection to the creativity that it takes to do meaningful work. And we really plugged those two books together and created the foundation of our culture. And so really, Arrow's a startup, and there are three of us there. We put in so much energy into building the foundation of the principles of what a good culture should look like. And we established what our why would be, and we just had so much fun doing that, man. And Arrow's a great ride. We built that business. I had success. I'm just grateful that I had that experience because it totally parlayed me into my next experience. But Arrow was good until it wasn't. Pandemic comes along and crushed it, man. Just straight up crushed us.
Yeah, no, for sure. Another derailment, another massive obstacle in our path after we just emptied the clip, right? All of our money from our acquisition, our life savings, everything, hiring our first couple employees, and boom, pandemic. And like, okay, holy shit, here we go again. You bowed out first, I bowed out second because for survival mode, right? And it's like, from there, I brought in to lead, and brought in to run the company and to grow it, right? To be the chief growth officer. Day one, I'm in my kickoff meeting, and it comes up like, oh yeah, I was like, I know this guy Kyle, my brother. He's like, and he can build the operational backbone of this organization for us, and I was like, I remember I call you up, and I'm like, you're like, why is Juice calling me? Because you knew, like, obviously
it was lunch hour on Juice's first day. I was like, did you get fired already, man?
Yeah.
Like, what happened there?
It was like, well, hey man, like you need to check this out, and let's make this happen. Let's run this back. And 3 weeks later to the day you're on, and it's like from there we just launched a rocket ship, right? And it was insane what happened from like 10 employees to over 60, from 8 million to 76 million in a three-year span, and it was wild.
It was a rocket ship, and we were just hustling and grinding, and we brought in amazing people, and the culture was electric. It was just a very special time going through the pandemic, and I'm just so grateful for my time there, man, and working with you. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. You learned a lot, failed a lot, and then just
tons of failure, man. no doubt.
It's a beautiful thing. But man, we're back, man. And don't call it a comeback because we've been here, and it's like, and we're here, man. We're here to make every minute count.
Let's go.
I love you, dog. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, much love, Juice.